think everybody has the ability to make a decision. So I just made a decision to get up. That's kind of the work I'm doing with leaders, is just like helping them stay the course. My job is to put a baton in people's hands, right? The emphasis is on the baton, not me.
Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back to the So Good Sisterhood podcast. I'm your host, Julie Mullins, and I am so honored that you would join me today for this conversation. And I'm super pumped because today we are recording this episode from our Christ Fellowship Conference. And it's been an incredible 2 days where we've had 1,300 leaders, church leaders from all over the country and really all over the world gathering together. It's been kind of like a homecoming. And so it's been fun because some of my very favorite people on the planet are here with us. And that's why I have today's guest on the podcast. Holly Wagner is joining us today. And Holly is a mom. She's a grandma, an amazing grandma. She has written 10 books. She is a sought-after speaker all over the world. And most of all, she is a lover of the Church of Jesus Christ and loves leading leaders. And I love how in these recent years that you are investing in church leaders, men and women, but specifically women who are really stepping into their calling to be able to lead the way in the church. So welcome, Holly. So glad you're here.
Well, thanks for having me. Anytime I get with you is a good time.
I love it.
And what a great conference.
It's been so fun.
No, I love it. There's just been some real moments, encouraging moments. I mean, the messages have been amazing. And I just appreciate the moments in between, been pretty powerful.
It's been beautiful.
So well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Just like gathering people to build the church. It's not just an event. It's really a church building gathering. And so well done.
It really is. And we say this all the time that we love the church so much. We are church
evident.
people.
It's very evident.
And we tell, we tell our team that really when we come together like this, that it is a series of sacred moments that from the time conference starts until people leave the parking lot tonight after the after party, that it is
There's
like
another
this
after party?
Well, it's kind of like we'll have an after party. It's a smaller one than last night. So last night was crazy, like carnival rides, everything. I don't know how our risk management person felt about it, but it's been incredible. But it's a series of sacred moments, and those sacred moments sometimes happen from the platform when you're being imparted a timely now word from the Word of God. Sometimes it happens in worship, but sometimes it happens in the hallways or in the bathrooms or in the parking lot. And so that's what we've seen so many times, and just love what God's doing, and just really that pastors and leaders would just go back refreshed and replenished to be able to.
I just had a great moment with somebody out on the lawn. So you just create the space to have that, which is beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And just, again, wherever you go, like you're always encouraging people. And you are one of the most encouraging people that I know. And you've encouraged me so much in the last...
You're pretty amazing.
Well, really, honestly, you were the friend that I didn't even know that I needed. And so just, one that you've challenged me, like to make space for this, to make space for friendships in the kingdom.
I've nagged you. Let's be honest.
Well, no, it's been a good nag.
I've nagged you.
But whenever we get together, it's always such a great time. So thanks for making the time to be here today.
Of course.
But you have an incredible journey as a woman in leadership in the church, and I would just love for you to just kind of share that journey and what it's looked like for you, and then even just bring us up to date in this season and what's the most valuable thing you're learning in this season right now.
Yeah, well, I didn't start in ministry. I mean, I to be honest, I don't remember a day not loving Jesus. So I feel like I've had this love for Jesus my whole life. But I started out when I was in school, headed to medical school. I mean, that was kind of my big plan, and then ended up changing and switching to acting, and then worked my way to Los Angeles. You can imagine that phone call with my parents. Mom and Dad, I'm switching from med school I'm going to move to LA and be an actor.
I'm going to be a star.
I'm going to do that. What's interesting is that they said to me, Holly, it's your life. Mm-hmm. So I had their support, which is what a gift that was, right? Beautiful. So anyway, got myself to LA and then started working as an actress in LA, which I didn't realize this is the early 80s. So I didn't realize kind of how unusual that was. Actually, I started in Dallas, got the job that took me to LA. And so then was working there. And then while I was there, I met Philip, who was already in ministry. But we met and we kind of started dating, but he wasn't quite sure what to do with this actress person because, we have no morals. So he wasn't quite sure what to do with us. But I was trying to do the very best I could to follow Jesus in an industry where I didn't at that point see many examples. And it's not that they weren't there, but again, this is before the internet. We're old people, right? Before the internet. And so I didn't really see it. And I felt like I'd been challenged by God about the parts I would take. And so Philip watched me turn down a lot of things and say yes to some. So anyway, then we fall in love and get married, and the church, the Oasis starts. And
so what year was that?
1984, the church started in April of 1984. And then we got married January of 85. So we started the church 6 months before we got married, which, can I say, don't ever do that.
Yeah, that's not a good strategy.
Really bad strategy. It made everything harder. The marriage, the church, all of it. And this was, again, before there were leadership conferences, so we didn't know what to do. And I was still working as an actress, which was paying our bills, so we're grateful for that. So the church, stayed small for a very long time. Then we finally figured out some leadership things, and that sort of helped. And then I'm looking back now, I'm in awe of what God did. We pastored Oasis Church for 35 years.
Wow.
And from that, first very beginning until God brought the thousands in, but it didn't start there.
Right.
It started with 12 people, and I wasn't sure if we were going to survive the winter. So,
Wow.
But anyway, so I am honored to be trusted with co-laboring with God in the city of Los Angeles, which is obviously a very secular city. But I love that I got trusted with a church in that city.
Wow. And you built a beautiful, vibrant, diverse church that was really a picture of heaven. I love how you just really loved people right where they were and just led them, and not just led them, to Jesus, but then discipled them and invested in their lives. And, God just really blessed that work for 35 years. And I love what you said that it started out, what did you say, 12 people? Yeah. That's our story too. Yeah. We were started out with 30 people. We grew to 70 people in 7 years. 7 years. And that was, so we have the worst church planting story ever, right?
No, we're tied with you.
I don't know. But it was but we used to have 2.5 hour services, and we worshiped for an hour. And we wondered why people weren't coming back, But we did. Again, we figured out a few things along the way. But your journey, that was pretty much the short version.
Very much the short
of your journey. But you've been through some things. You have been through some things. You battled with cancer.
Yep.
Your husband also had a battle with cancer. Yes. And again, leading the church through 2020, in the season that was, but just a lot of things. At one point, your identity was stolen. So you've hit some bumps along the way. But I think the one thing that I have seen in you and that has challenged me is that your resilience, that your ability, not just to bounce back, but to bounce forward, right? Yeah. That you've been able to, you would not stay down. No. When you've been knocked down, you didn't stay down. And I think a lot of times, especially in this culture today, that people just give up too soon.
Oh, yes.
They just give up. We live in an instant culture, but we do not live in a resilient culture.
No, we do not.
And yet resilience is, such a necessity for us to be able to, to be able to grow spiritually, to be able to experience everything God has for us. And so, how did you become resilient? And what would you say about that? Because even just what were the things that you did? Now looking back, I'm sure you didn't even know you were doing them at the time, but what did you do to be able to get this resilient spirit? Because I think it's been something you've been imparted in others also.
Yeah, that's a good question. When my son was 7, he started taking karate. And so I remember taking him to his karate studio, and I'm sitting out there with all the other parents, and I'm looking in, and my son's having all the fun. And I just thought, you know what? I want to do this. So then the next week I showed up with my stiff little white belt, and I'm going to take karate. And I was sure that within weeks I would, wow my friends and family with all of my amazing skills, because I'd seen the brochure, and I was going to learn that karate move, that's at the end of Karate Kid. It was going to be amazing. And so I was pretty sure this was going to be, an easy journey. Well, 4.5 years later, I did get my black belt, but I didn't go from white belt to black belt.
Right.
There was a lot of steps in between. I had to push through the routine and the mundane. And I feel like I had to show up every day. I had to learn how to fall. Like in karate, one of the first things we learned is how to fall and get up, fall and get up, fall and get up, fall and get up. And I remember thinking, wait, I'm paying $85 a month to learn how to fall. I'm pretty sure I could do this by my big girl self. Right. And I just was like so frustrated and I wanted to quit because I don't put up with boring. My personality doesn't do boring. Right. So I wanted to quit. And then I had to push through not just that, but then the inconvenience because then my son decided he didn't want to take karate. So now it's just me. And I'm trying, I have a job. So who has the time for this? But push through the inconvenience. But you know what? If you're going to be good at anything, you have to push through like the boring moments. And I feel like today we have a culture that just doesn't do that, that won't push through the routine, like the routine of reading your Bible, even if nothing's jumping off the page. You showing up at work, even if nothing dramatic's happening that day. Just like show up. Be present. And then I had to push through hard in karate. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And then I think about even in ministry, there it was that season that you referenced that, not only did I battle cancer, but then our identity was stolen. Philip got cancer. Then my dad died. I mean, there was all of this stuff happening. This was in a very short period of time. And I remember, and then the tragic, honestly, the most tragic part for me, it was all hard. But I remember the most tragic part for me was that there were some people that I had showed a lot of grace to them when they had entered my world, and I needed some of that grace back. And I didn't get it. And I just got stabbed in the back. And one of my dearest friends ended up just betraying me. And I'm a people-y person, as you know about me, very people-y. You come near me, I'm touching you. So that's just how it is. And, after I just started getting so cynical and angry, and that actually isn't who I am. And I knew that. But I just started getting so frustrated, like, is it this worth it? And, asking all the questions that I feel like perhaps people ask, right? Is this worth it? Can I do this? I should just quit. I shouldn't have to put up with hard or painful, because it's painful, right? These moments are painful. And so I had to make some decisions in those moments, just like I had to make it in karate to push through the hard and the painful in life to actually, one of the first steps I did, since you asked me, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling.
No, it's
but one
good.
of the first steps that I had to do was find something to be grateful for. So that was the first step for me in snapping myself out of this funk I had gotten myself into. Yes, there were really horrible, hard things happening around me. And, James, when he says, it's so many annoying verses, but this is one. James 1 verse 2, he says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work. So then you'll be mature and complete, not lacking anything." So I think about it, it's like maturity isn't about how old you are or how much you know. Maturity is what you're willing to persevere through.
That's so good.
And so I feel like we have a generation perhaps who want the black belt, who want the maturity, who want the reward, but they're not willing to persevere. They're not willing to be resilient and get back up and take another step and continue on the journey. And so I think for me in that season, my first step out, if you will, was gratitude. And every day, we wrote something. Philip put this jar in our kitchen, and he said, we're going to write something that we're grateful for and put it in that jar. See, he's the Christian in our marriage. It's like every marriage should have one.
You have to have one.
You have to have one. Just,
And I'm sure it switches back and forth. Sometimes you choose.
No, it's mainly him.
It's pretty much.
If anybody's going to say something inappropriate, it's me. He's mainly the Christian. And so we did every day and write something you're thankful for. And for me, for a lot of days, it was just coffee. That was it, right? That was what I could think of. And then eventually it became, God's word and my health and my family. But it didn't start there. And honestly, I didn't feel it ever. I just made the decision to be grateful. And I feel like that's, snapped something in me. And now years later, I've read all these studies, neuroscience studies about what gratitude does in your brain, how it resets your brain. So I just feel like, unbeknownst to me, I just was doing when God said, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is his will. I just was trying to find something to be grateful for.
That's so good.
So I feel like that kind of snapped it for me and kind of started me on the path of bouncing back and being resilient, if you will.
That's so, I think, gratitude is like the antidote to entitlement. I mean, and not that you were feeling entitled, but we all get to a point, where it's like, I really don't deserve this. And you really don't deserve that,
That's right?
I mean, the things that you were walking through, these were not things that you brought on yourself. These were things that came to you. I mean, some storms we bring onto ourselves,
yes,
and some we, actually come to us. And I think that when you were talking about that season you were in, that you just didn't even recognize yourself.
No, I didn't.
And I think all of us can relate to that moment, and that if we can just stay aware, and when we see that this is not me, this is not who I am, and then we recognize that, this is the time for a change and a shift. And I do believe that the practice of gratitude, it is so deeply spiritual. I mean, what you just described was so simple and practical. And it does. You're right. There's neuroscience that says it just actually shifts, shifts what is going on in your brain, is creating new neural pathways. But it's also so deeply spiritual.
Yes.
To be grateful it keeps us from entitlement. It keeps us from self-sufficiency. And I actually, you shared that in 2020 with me, and that actually became a practice of mine too, that in my morning journal, that I will write 5 things that I'm grateful for. And I'll write those 5 things down. And then I always try, I always try to make one of those things Todd, something that Todd's done, and then tell him, that I'm grateful for that. And what that does in relationships, what gratitude does, not just in our own soul, but also in our relationships, that we would, that practice of gratitude is so important and so key to, I think practice, there's many practices that help us to be more resilient. And the thing is, we've got to put those practices in place before the crisis, or before the situation comes, the storm comes our way. So, but I love what you said. In that season, there was just like this kind of, and you described it, the bitterness that kind of, set in. And, how, besides gratitude, is there anything else that helps you to be able to let that bitterness go and to be able to move on and get up?
Yeah. So a couple of things, I think. One is, community is important.
Yeah.
And so for me, as a senior leader, some of my dearest friends are other senior leaders. So I was pretty intentional with phone calls to people and giving them the right to speak into my life and the right to say things to me. And I did get, you don't have to have tons of people, but enough people that can tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That can challenge you. And so, I don't know how I would have gotten through that without genuine, Christianity is not just about you and God. It's not just about your relationship with Jesus. Because if that was the case, then God would have created Adam and ended it.
Right.
But it was not good that he was alone, right? So he needed a partner. So we need each other. We were created and designed for a family, for team, for community. And when we go through hard, challenging situations, our temptation is to isolate, and that will only bring more destruction. And so I started there. I started on my couch, just mad at the world and bitter about all those people. And then I started making some phone calls to my friends around the country who understood what it was to lead a church, and they kind of helped, shift me a little bit. So I don't think I could have done it without that. And then the other, I think, is, and I don't think I'm so special. I think everybody has the ability to make a decision. So I just made a decision to get up. And just like in karate, when I fell and got up, when I took my black belt test, I was fighting another black belt who was far more experienced than me. So here I am in the fight for but I didn't have to beat him. I just had to fight him.
Yeah.
And I ended up on my backside so many times, but it was instinct to get back up because I had trained for years to get back up. It was muscle memory. It was in me to get up. And so I just think we have this generation who aren't putting the things in them so that when the challenges come, and they will come, they quit, they give up, they yield, they put things in the too hard basket. And we need people committed for the journey, for the long haul.
Right.
And so I feel like even now, that's kind of the work I'm doing with leaders, is just like helping them stay the course. Because as a follower of Jesus, I'm responsible for my lap of this race, and you're responsible for yours. But the ultimate thing is, my job is to put a baton in people's hands, right? The emphasis is on the baton, not me. Right? It's that baton keeps going. And so for me, it's about encouraging a generation to actually do the work of finishing what's been put in front of them.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'll have people look at my life or whatever they think my life is, because people have their own perspective, right, about your life. And they go, I want what you have. And I go, okay, well, right, God's no respecter of person. So you'll, whatever he's called you to do. But if you really do, then here's what you do. So I started thinking about my life, right? What did I do? Okay, so in those early years, you teach, in children's church to a group of 5 kids, and you have 4 rickety chairs and a puppet named Winston, and there's no air conditioning, and all I felt was sweaty and unseen in that season, right? But I'm doing it. I'm putting my hands to it, and I just do it. And then they look, and I've written books, and they'll go, I want to do that. I go, okay, great. Then I wrote books between 10 at night and 2 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Because that was the only time, because I had young kids at that point. I had a family, and I had a job in the day. So I didn't just take off to go write a book. I did it while I was doing my life. Okay, so if you want that, then go ahead, you do that. If you want this, then you stay married.
Right.
You do the work of building a marriage. You get help. You go to counselors. You go to retreats. You get in a connect group where you other like-minded married people. It's like, do the work of building a marriage if you actually want that.
Yeah.
Right? And then I started thinking, you know what? Then you go to church and you show up even when the people who betrayed you are sitting behind you. And I remember that season when I did not want to go to church. I'm the pastor, right? So you go. And I go. And they're sitting behind me. Right? But it's like, so I feel like that's the kind of stuff I just want to tell a generation. It's just like, you cannot quit. You want that black belt, whatever that is, the black belt marriage, the black belt job, the black belt career, whatever. Then you got to go through all the belts. You don't go from white to black.
Right.
There's a lot of colors in between. Right? You got to go through them all.
That's right.
And there's a cost to it.
That's right.
So I guess that's what I would kind of encourage.
I love that. That's such an impartation, because a lot of times they look at your life where it is now, and that you are. I mean, that God's using you all over the world to be able to declare the gospel, and you're such an encourager, and you're investing. So you've got great influence, great leadership, and a great platform. And that's, for so many, that's the dream.
I know.
But there's the difference between dreaming the dream and living the dream. Yeah. And you have to live the dream. There's a lot of there's a journey, like you said, between the white belt and the black belt. And I'm so glad that you made the journey. Yeah. And I'm so glad that what you're imparting in a generation behind you. And, just so many things I heard in this. I mean, so many things I want to unpack, but we're running out of time. But, just that starts with gratitude, just being grateful, and being grateful for what you have, but also, just being grateful for what God's put in your hand today. Yes. And be faithful to what God's.
Even to that point, I feel like we get so distracted by what's in our heart that we overlook what's in our hand.
Wow, that's so good.
What's in our heart, the big dream is important, it's great. But we get distracted by that we drop what's in our hand, we overlook it, and then we'll never actually get to what's in our heart.
And you won't get to what's in your heart if you're not faithful what God's put in your hand. Because those who've been trusted with a little can be trusted with much.
That's right.
And that's what we can, the little that God trusts us with, but just gratitude. Community, huge. It's just so huge to be able to have people in your life that are going to cheer you on and call you up, and that know you at times, and that know you, and that you're known. And that does not always come easy. No. I love what you said, because it was like you had to make the phone call. You didn't say, you know what, one day my friend called me from around the country.
Be proactive.
I was able, but no, I mean, and everyone thinks they're the ones that always make the first move. Well, I'm always the one that's reaching out. We all think that. Right. So, it's like, if someone didn't reach out to you, then just reach out to them, get over yourself, reach out, and just, because you're not going to move on without it. So, but just gratitude, community, and just being faithful with small things, and then just being become really good at falling down and getting up. Falling down, knowing how to fall down. The best way, what to do when you fall down. Yep. Just be really good at it. Yep. And it's so rich in what you share. But perseverance, perseverance is what it's going to. Don't quit. Just don't quit. And find some really good people to run alongside you. Okay, so we're going to end this with a more fun question. So we've been in this verse, like Ephesians 3:20, that God wants to do more. He has more in store for you than you have in mind. But what's one thing that you think that we just need more of? You mean 2026? It could be you need more of, or we. What do people just need more of?
You mean more than coffee?
More than coffee. Yeah. I think we need more coffee, more good coffee. Yes. I need more coffee to get through tonight. So we got a couple more hours to go.
I think it's like, I know this might sound, I don't mean to sound super spiritual, but like reasons to laugh, like joy. I just feel like in the culture that we're in, so now it can get so intense and so divisive, and we're looking for opportunities to put people down in, and it gets so heavy. And as leaders in ministry, sometimes we carry the weight of what to say and what not to say and how to say it, and did I say enough, and so that's all this heavy. And I just think what we could use is a little more joy. Right?
More joy, more fun,
more
laughter. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. So thank you.
That's why I'm in your life. I'm the fun part.
You are the fun one. You're the 7 on the Enneagram. I
am.
always wanted to be a 7. I'm not a 7.
That's great, but that's why we're friends.
I know. That's right. I surround myself with 7 so I can kind of live vicariously through you. So, but thank you so much for being. This has been so rich, and I'm so excited for our sisterhood to be able to hear this. And thank you guys for joining in. Thanks for jumping on and joining this conversation. We know there's so many ways that you can spend your time. Thank you for spending it with us, and we can't wait to see you next time on the So Good Sisterhood podcast.